Like I bought it and my entire family watched it from my pocket. So
There you go.
Yeah.
FBI, we got him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's right here. What's going on, everybody? Critic and the Common Man here, back with another movie review up today. Raya and the Last Dragon. Chris, I'm really excited to talk with you about this one, man.
Me too.
Just came out the other night.
Yep.
We both watched it.
Watched it the night of.
Watched it the night of, yeah. I didn't realize that we were going to have to pay $30 for this one
I
again.
didn't either.
Well,
I
they
wish
gave us
we had
Soul.
coordinated because we just spent $60.
Yeah, I know. We just dropped $60 to watch this movie. Although I will say, it was a long movie. Not to jump the gun here. It was a long movie, so at least for your $30, you get a pretty good amount of entertainment.
And I mean, well, obviously, like you're watching it with your wife, and I'm watching it with my girlfriend. So like, $30, $15. I got popcorn and brownies. Like it felt like a date night, and
right. I'm watching.
In
with
my
my
opinion,
wife. You're watching with your girlfriend. I'm watching with my girlfriend separately, and I get to watch it again for $30, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good. It's all good, guys. Raya and the Last Dragon. We've been looking forward to this one for a while. I have some questions for you, Christopher, about Disney, because I'm always confused when this happens.
What you've heard is true. He is frozen in cryogenic stasis. Yes.
Yeah. Also, real quick, if you've not seen Raya and the Last Dragon, this is your official spoiler warning, guys. This is going to be a full review, as with all Critic and the Common Man content. So it's worth it, I will say. Chris, don't spoil it, but go check out Raya and the Last Dragon and then come back and let us know what you think. All right, now that that's been said, I have some questions for you, Chris. Spoiler alert coming up. I thought that this was going to be a musical. I don't know why, but I thought that because she was a princess, or I thought she was a princess, that this was going to be a musical movie, and it was not. So what? I don't understand. How come some of these Disney princess movies are musicals and some are not?
I think it's just the age group that they target, which is weird that I say that because I feel like this target audience for this film was a little younger than I expected for the themes that they brought up.
I didn't think it was until we saw the dragon, and then I did. But we'll get into that. Okay, I thought it was something like there was like different studios. Like I thought it was like there's a Walt Disney studio that does the non-musical stuff, and
there's
then a
Disney
different
Animation Studios, which does like Tangled and Frozen. They've done their own thing.
Okay, and like Princess and the Frog and like the musical number.
Yeah,
like
the 2D. Yeah,
movies.
basically the 2D stuff, and then there's the Pixar Animation Studios, which does only the Pixar stuff. And Pixar gets a little more freedom with their stuff because they started as their own company that was funded by, if I remember correctly, I know Steve Jobs helped fund it. I think George Lucas helped a little, or he became a partner later. But they started as their own company working alongside Disney, and then Disney bought them, but they still kind of retain a lot of their own freedom. Because,
fair enough.
People expect certain things from Pixar, and they're still very much loved. So
fair enough. So quick some subcontext before we jump into this. Kind of interesting. We don't have to go on a huge rant here because we definitely can if we're not careful. But Raya and the Last Dragon, box office wise, actually opened lower than Tom and Jerry, which I think is kind of interesting. But obviously, the big caveat to that being, it's because it was on Disney Plus.
True.
So it's an interesting idea, or it's sort of an interesting. What do you call it? Like a benchmark for where we're at right now as far as people's willingness to go to the theater if they have something that can be streamed.
Do you have any desire to watch Tom and Jerry?
I mean, I would watch it. I wouldn't pay $30 to watch it. You know what I mean? If this is another $30 movie, I don't know that it's
I don't know.
that.
I don't know if you saw. I'm pretty sure it was Johnny B with What the Flick Reviews, but he reviewed it. Yeah. Dude, I'm pretty sure he gave it like 1 star. He was like, it's unwatchable. I was like, I don't want to watch it now.
No. Yeah, I'd take his word. Johnny B, shout out to What the Flick Reviews. I would take his word for sure. So if he says it's bad, which we'll verify that, but if he says it's bad, people. I would watch, if I had a kid, no doubt, we'd be watching Tom and Jerry.
Of course.
If it's just going to be me and my wife, nah, I don't think so. But just sort of an interesting point, and again, not to digress too much, but something for the viewers out there. Raya and the Last Dragon actually did worse in the box office than Tom and Jerry. Obviously, revenue-wise, I'm sure Raya and the Last Dragon. Now,
Tom and Jerry, you're saying opened in theaters. Is that what you're saying?
Opened in theaters,
gotcha.
Correct.
Gotcha.
But I think it's interesting to say that enough people have Disney Plus, and it's just so much easier, especially right now where things are still kind of teeter-tottering back and forth between is it safe, is it not safe?
I bet you
have the option.
Sorry, go ahead.
What'd you say? No, I was just gonna say, I think most people, when given the option, are gonna stay home and do the Disney Plus route.
Yeah, it's really weird with the video lag. I can't tell when you're talking. So like right now, you look like you're ready for me to talk. So it's bizarre. So I am sorry if I interrupt you, but
It's all good.
no, I bet you anything that if you compare views, there will be more individual views for Raya and the Last Dragon than Tom and Jerry. But when it comes to money, the thing is, when you have 6 accounts available for Disney Plus, all it takes is one person to buy it, and then 6 different people, 6 different families can watch it.
True, that is a problem. That's sort of the other edge of that sword. The other side.
Like I bought it, and my entire family watched it from my pocket. So
there you go, FBI, we got him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's right here. All right, man, let's jump into this thing. Sorry for the long intro here, guys, but Raya and the Last Dragon, we did a tutor review on this one a little while ago, and now finally the movie's out. I'm just going to come out there and say this. I really enjoyed this movie. Now, I will say that there were parts of it that were actually a big disappointment to me. And of course, we'll get into that. As you guys know, we're like the kings of talking shit about these movies.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the dragon was a big disappointment. In fact, I thought the dragon's character in all its forms was kind of a disappointment.
Yeah. Okay,
I thought
wait.
Raya was...
Before
right.
we do any of that.
You're right.
Yeah,
I just can't help it, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way, but like I don't know. Yeah, in like film analysis or whatever, I feel like I always have to
You're right.
kind of do the good first and then the bad after. Because then people are gonna watch this and be like, man, these assholes, and we are. You're correct.
You are correct.
What is it? What did you like about the film?
Dude, the quality of animation on this was insane.
Oh, it was
Did
beautiful.
Did you see the part where, I don't remember what his name is, where Raya's dad was pouring her like pho or soup or whatever it was supposed to be, and it like showed inside the kettle of soup? Dude, that could have been a legitimate video of somebody over like a pot of pho or soup.
Yeah.
Like, it was unbelievable.
At the end too, when they were transforming back after being in stone.
Insane. The
It's
quality
so real.
of the animation on this was insane. And so there's got to be credit given there. And we kind of expect that. We sort of expected that, but dude, it was
Beautiful.
again on everything except the dragon. But we'll get there. It was insane to me how good the animation was
And
on this.
the cinematography was absolutely beautiful.
Dude, I got almost kind of now granted, I don't watch a ton of anime, but I almost got anime vibes from this.
For sure.
What about you? What did you really like about this one?
I really liked the themes and the story. Again, sorry guys, I'm a writer. I really liked the overall kind of message of unity that was kind of, and you kind of expect that from a Disney film, but
of course.
there's always like a moral to the story at the end of their films. But no, I really did enjoy that. I enjoyed the world that they built. The enemy was, for being amorphous blobs, was freaking terrifying.
Scary, really scary.
Yeah, and I get so excited. I start processing like 100 miles an hour. For me, the part in the movie where I was like, okay, I'm in. Where I was just getting settled in, was after the intro, 6 years later, and you see her going through the wasteland and running into people, and these things have been rampaging for 6 years and everything's different. I wish we had seen a little more of the effect that these creatures had on the wilderness, and like seeing more villages that were empty and stuff like that, because we really only got like a total of 50 people in the entire film.
Yeah, well, it was interesting how they made the villages that did survive. They adapted, and they were either the ones that were not landlocked. What's the opposite of landlocked? Like an island, basically surrounded by water.
They had like moats,
or they
canals.
Yeah, like they created moats, or they were just like boat cities, like kind of like Taiwan. Like they were just basically floating cities.
Every city definitely felt unique, which was cool.
Yes, and I liked that because that was a big part of the story. Was it's Fang and I don't, what were the other ones? Tail,
Heart,
Claw, and Heart. Yeah, whatever. They were like very distinct, and they really tried to make each town or city have its own culture and have its own type of people.
Yeah.
They did a good job with that. The colors were completely different everywhere they went. The atmosphere was different. It was wet and muggy in the like thief town,
Yeah.
and then it was cold and solemn in the town with the big dude who lost his family. Which, dude, the emotional depth of this was absolutely there.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like everything was just so well done in this. It really was. It was overall a very beautiful movie with some adult themes. That sounds weird.
Sure.
That's a weird thing to say.
Sure. No, I get it. For the most part, I liked the characters. There were a couple that I didn't. I did not like the dragon. I didn't like. That may have been it. I liked the Con baby. For as cheesy as it was, I thought that was funny. Her Con baby and the little monkeys.
The monkeys.
I liked the big guy, and of course I don't remember any of their names.
Yeah, I don't either.
I liked the big guy. I liked was it Tong? Is that who the big guy was? Tong?
I don't remember any. I don't even remember hearing their names actually.
Yeah, they're in there.
But it could have been like they could have said it between like bites of popcorn. So,
dude, and speaking to the writing, how interesting is it that the villains or the bad guys in this movie weren't really so much those purple blobs? They were kind of just each other.
Yep.
It was like the villain of this story is not really so much these purple things. Those things are just there
it's part of their
kind of in the background. Right, but they've kind of learned to adapt to live with those things. It was just the people and like the lack of trust and stuff, which again is kind of a childish thing. It's like, oh, we have to learn to trust each other for us to win.
But it's definitely it's commentary on our world today.
It is.
Yeah,
it is for sure. Somebody being willing to take that leap of faith, the first step in forming a bond, forming trust. This movie had a lot there, and I will say I was hesitant because, I will say the last time we spent $30 on a movie, Christopher, and I know we promised we'd never talk about this movie ever again on Disney Plus was, drumroll please, Mulan, which was the shittiest movie damn near of 2020. So I was a little bit hesitant to fork over $30 again to watch something. It's not my new favorite movie, but I will say I'm not at all mad that we paid to watch it.
No, I'm not either.
I would absolutely watch it again.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like I said, the film was just beautiful.
It was
good writing, good cinematography. The fight scenes were well choreographed. The camera angles were absolutely stunning. Really showed off the landscape and the world that they built. And then it also, I mean, just the color palettes, everything. Everything was just gorgeous to look at visually. It's expected. The acting is pretty much all there. Now there are. For me personally, there were two things that I didn't like about the film. And one of them being that it felt like, and I should not be saying this as like a 30-year-old man, but it felt too young at some parts. Like the world building aspect that they kind of put into the beginning, in my opinion, was taken away, and they pulled the rug out from under you when the dragon was making references to like modern day jokes.
Yeah, it felt weird, right?
It did.
It felt weird.
Like even
the dialogue of the dragon didn't match up with where the movie was.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing. But also, and sorry to interrupt you because I know you have more to this point, but it also, speaking to the age demographic, think of the characters. Raya is she's like an okay age. She didn't make it feel young, and the villain, I don't remember her name either, didn't make it feel, Namari, I think, didn't make it feel young. But think about who the other characters are. One is a young boy who's like the owner of that boat. The other one is a baby, a literal baby, surrounded by monkeys. And then there's only basically one adult in this whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's that guy, I think Tong. I think Tong was his name because I think Benja was her dad. Now I'm getting confused, man. I don't know.
That sounds correct.
Because Boone was the boy who owned the boat, and I think Tong was the big guy. Who, by the way, is Benedict Wong, who is great in Doctor Strange and everything. He's like the sidekick guy.
Oh,
that was him.
He's the big guy?
Yeah, he's the big guy.
I had no idea.
Yep. Sorry, so I interrupted you, but I agree with you, and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in there that I think and then of course the dragon, who being the other character who acted like she was super young and kind of immature. So I will agree with you for everything they put into setting this up. when you finally get to meet the kind of band of characters, band of misfits that's traveling, it does make it feel like a young person's movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and the only reason I'm mentioning that is because you have movies like Finding Nemo or even Tangled, with Rapunzel and all that. They still feel as if they're a part of the world while still being funny and stuff. But the kid like popping and locking, it killed it for me. I didn't really need that. And that's a difference in ages and taste, I guess. But like I am really about immersion in the world, and this didn't immerse me in it, and I was a little disappointed at that. The dragons making the reference, to like modern day jokes and stuff like that, completely pulled me out of it. You mentioned the baby with the monkeys. That felt completely unnecessary. Which
it made it feel like a cheesy DreamWorks movie is what it made it feel like.
I literally
like
said
it was a
that.
Character.
I said that as I watched it. It did. It felt. It just. It did. It felt cheesy, like throwing the diaper and stuff. I was like, really, like is that really like that's what's pushing the story right now? Is this baby? Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like it kind of took down. The whole movie was brought down by these attempts to make it funny when it could have been funny through the acting in the same way that Rapunzel and Flynn were funny in that way. Like they were funny because of the characters and the actors they chose, not because the writing called for them to be funny.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. That's very true. It did start to feel like a younger movie.
Yeah. The only other thing, and that's just me from a world building aspect, I didn't like that the river was shaped like an actual dragon. Like, I think that it would have been cool if they had the actual names of the but if it was more abstract, like this part of the river that opens up is the head, and this part over here that tapers down. And just make it feel like it was literally the shape of a dragon. I was like, okay. Right there, right from the get-go when they're showing us the world, I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but I'm willing to look past it. And then we start getting introduced into these characters, and I'm like, there's so many adult themes here. There's so much here to kind of darken the plot and make it feel a little more realistic and immersive. And they took that and just kind of brought that down a peg by having a kid who dances. But then at the same time, it's like when you get to know him more, you care about his character more because you learn why.
I liked his character. Yeah, I liked his character.
I did too, sure. But I wish that they had just done a little less of that. Like they did that in Moana.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying for sure.
They did it in Moana with the kid in like that one part of the movie at the beginning.
The little greasy kid.
Yeah. And it's like they got the laughs in Moana, and so they were like, we got to do it again. Make a whole character.
They had too many of those characters.
Yes.
It was like you can have one of those characters and still make it okay, but when the boy is one of those, and when Con Baby is one of those, and when the dragon is one of those characters, okay, now all of a sudden you've got the whole band is like this kind of immature group, and the only person pulling them out of that is Raya, and then towards the end you get Tong, who doesn't come in until like the last third or last fourth of the movie, if you want to say the final quarter of the movie. But I completely agree with you that, unfortunately, those characters really dragged it down. I think I have two issues with this movie as well. I agree that, in addition to what you had brought up, my biggest one being, dude, what was up with that dragon, man? To me, that was like the stupidest look they could have chosen for that dragon. And I looked into this. I was like, so if I'm not mistaken, this was supposed to be set in kind of like a Southeast Asia type
kind of
setting,
it's like their own world, but
yeah, but like right, like definitely remnant of that
reference. Yeah.
Fair enough. So I started looking up like historical images, and I was like, ancient Taiwanese dragon, ancient dragons, and they are kind of that long, skinny thing, but they still look way more intimidating. This dragon to me felt like something out of My Little Pony or something, dude. It was like the art style that they chose for the dragon immediately, and I literally mean from the second I saw it, made me go, "Oh, this is a kid's movie. This is not."
I had the same reaction, but the dragon grew on me.
I wish it had on me, man. It just never did. And then the girl that it transforms into, I kind of was okay with. She was kind of shaggy looking and a little more wild.
I liked it when she was a human because she wasn't drop dead gorgeous. I loved the hair. It was that felt like a modern spin on this character without it being overtly modern. Like, it wasn't like, look, I dyed my hair. It was, no,
Right.
this is intended for an audience where dyeing your hair in this day and age is now more common. And it's giving people the what's the word I'm looking for? It is accepting of the differences and the uniqueness that people nowadays kind of yearn for. Everybody wants to be themselves now. That self-identity is a big thing right now.
Right. Right. Like being proud of who you are,
Exactly,
not being
yeah.
not being afraid of like who you really are. I get that totally. Her character in human form was fine to me. I mean, literally the whole movie. I could
What
not get
was it
past
about the dragon? Is it like too cute?
It was
too
the
colorful?
face and the like main thing. I think the face looked. And I keep coming back to this. It literally was like something out of My Little Pony, dude. It was out of a different art style cartoon. It just didn't look cool to me. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that sounds really rudimentary, but the dragon just wasn't cool. I wasn't threatened by it, but I also wasn't impressed by it.
As I was
like,
watching
these people
the film,
are like,
I was thinking in my head, I was like, I would have chosen a different art style.
for sure.
Like, and it sucks because everything else is gorgeous, but I agree with you. I don't know. I'm okay with the eyes, because it's. I just felt for.
Dude, I couldn't get past it, man. And I gotta be honest, it hurt me while I was watching the movie because it definitely brought my appreciation for it down a little bit.
It just didn't feel
I still have
like an all-powerful,
no, not at all.
eternally
It felt more
immortal
like a weird
being.
Pokemon or something, but
Yeah.
not like a Lugia, not like a Pokemon you're blown away by, but like a Pokemon you find in the grass and run away
like
from.
like an
'cause it's
oddish
not
or a
worth your
pigeon,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, like it felt
Pidgey.
like something weird that like you would just kind of forget about. The dragon to me was very forgettable. And then even when they showed her and all her brothers and sisters, all of them, like the one with the thing on his head looked like a Pokemon too. I was like, this is
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know about these dragons. The art style of the dragons was not there. So that unfortunately was the biggest negative I had for this, which again, not a movie breaker, but it did kind of take me out of it a little bit. The other one for me is for how well they set the world up and how interesting or how interested I was in this movie and was pretty much the whole way through. The main storyline as far as what ended up happening to me was kind of predictable. I didn't think that it was very hard. I wasn't stretching much to try to figure out where this movie was going to end up going. I think we've seen more creative Disney stories than this. I think that this created a really, really good world. And it had an interesting different cultures and the history of the world. I give full credit there. But as far as the actual plot, I mean, dude, it was very, to me, it was very predictable. And I can't help but think I knew where this movie was going to go the whole time.
Yeah.
And I just, the animation was so riveting. It was so good and well done that I was kind of looking past some of this stuff because I was just interested.
Yeah.
I will say, I loved Raya's character. As like a main character, princess, badass, she was awesome to me. What did you think about her character specifically as like the lead in this movie?
She was fantastic. In some ways, she reminded me kind of Korra from the Legend of Korra, Avatar. She just kind of reminded me of that like badass female heroine.
And it was like she just felt genuine. She also didn't feel like she was trying to be forced to be this badass warrior. She was just badass.
Yeah.
Like she was just cool. I have a question for you. And it makes no difference. I just thought it was an interesting talking point because some people are talking about it online. Do you think there was any sort of like LGBTQ vibes in this movie at all with Raya and I forget her other
Nasani? Oh,
no,
Sisu.
Sisu was the dragon.
Oh,
Sisu was
what?
the dragon.
No,
Namari.
Not from them two.
Not the dragon, the Raya and the girl with like the half cut thing.
Yeah,
What was her name?
Nasani.
Namari,
whatever. That's what I.
Dasani. Okay.
Yeah.
Woo boy. Sorry,
Them
people.
two, I kind of did, and I was wondering because my little sister, who will probably end up watching this, She talks to me about that kind of stuff a lot. About I guess what's called queer coding,
Okay.
which is characters who are portrayed as straight but are intended to be not straight. And it's just it's society that kind of puts the idea like, well, you're male, so you have to be into females, and
Right.
there's hints that these characters aren't straight, but you never overtly see them not being, you never see them choose, I guess, a sexual identity or sexual orientation in the series, but you get hints of it. But through the main plot line, you just assume they're straight. With them,
Right.
I was watching this, and my first reaction was like, my sister is definitely going to text me about this. And I don't know, man. I kind of got some hints there that maybe there was some love interest between them, but the story
Yeah,
itself
I
wasn't
get it,
about
dude.
it.
No, it wasn't at all. I mean, I get it. They're both hot and totally 18, right? 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 No, obviously that was a joke, people. That was weird. No, I get it though.
FBI,
That
get 'em.
FBI, we got him. People are talking about it online, and maybe people are just trying to create something that wasn't there, or maybe not. And either way, didn't change the story because the characters were who they were,
Yeah.
and they were incredible. But I did think that was sort of an interesting choice, if that was the choice that they did make, to have her kind of maybe walking that line a little bit,
I
or
definitely got
showing some
vibes
interest
like
in
that.
her.
Like that was something that was on my mind while I was watching it. I was like, I wonder. But again, the story kind of didn't focus on anything like that, like at all. There was no love interest in this at whatsoever, and so it's
None.
So you're kind of, it's just another one of those like character aspects that like helps enhance the story. It makes them feel more real.
Two things that were really refreshing about this movie. One of which being there wasn't this forced love thing. Raya didn't have some guy or girl, to
Yeah.
be fair, that
Yeah.
she was just like overly infatuated with, and ended up being the whole driving thing. And then number two, they weren't shoving it down your throat that she was this female heroine the whole time. Female,
Yes.
female, female. She was just badass and awesome. They didn't have to like make sure that you knew it was because she was a female like they tried to do in Mulan, which I know was kind of the whole story of Mulan. It's very much focused on the fact that she's female. Raya was just a really cool character, and her dad was never like, "Oh, you cannot be wow, okay, let's not go down that path. Let's not do this again." Her dad was never like, "You can't be the
Join our
Dragon Guard
join our
because
Patreon to see the double world.
Join our Patreon when we get kicked off of YouTube,
Yeah.
dude. Oh my
Our
god.
double world
It's the
review.
only
We've
Yes,
never seen the
we
light
gotta
of
put
day.
that up somewhere under a paywall with a warning.
Yeah.
Please don't put that out there. Oh God. But it was never like, oh, you can't be her friends were never like, oh, you'll never amount to anything. You're a female. And the villain wasn't some young dude who was like, Raya, you're just some chick. You'll never stop me. They didn't do that. And nobody ever questioned the fact that she was a female ever. It wasn't like the dragon came back to life and was like, oh, you are here to save me, but you're a female. And Boone wasn't
The powerful.
Boone wasn't like
The pleasurable. Moosh.
Mushu. You know what I mean? It was just really refreshing that they just chose Raya as the lead of this because she was fucking cool and she fit as the character, and they did a great job with that. So hats off to that.
I
really enjoyed it, man.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
I expected, like the beginning when like literally the very opening scene when they're fighting each other, the dad, and he's like, you will not set one foot on the inner circle. I expected her to have some sort of thing like that protecting, like I thought she was going to have the crystal behind her and she was going to say that to them. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, this is going to be so powerful because it's going to be everything her dad taught her.
Oh, damn, that would have been
That would
so
have been
cool.
epic. And it didn't do that.
They missed the mark on that. That would have been a way better. That would have been a great way to come full circle on that.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that, but again, it's just because I'm such an incredible writer and Disney needs me.
It's true. Netflix, here's your guy. Do you think that this movie suffered from not having like one main villain and it was just sort of these abstract purple things?
No, because you don't need a
And
villain.
I say that. Sorry to interrupt the answer that I asked you to give me. My bad. I say that only because I think that would have had to have been the case for her to have a moment where she could have been like, "You will not set foot on this inner circle." It would have had to. She couldn't have just been saying that to a blob.
I mean, I
don't
feel
think
like
it
there
would
could have been
as
like
interesting.
surrounding her, and like there could have been some moment where like you can, like, they're not just blobs, and you realize that they can actually understand you. Like maybe she's talking to them, and they're just waiting in a
would've been
line
epic.
in front of her.
Or she's like crying and all her friends are stone around her,
Yeah.
and like she's got the last bit of the cube and she's like, "You will not set one foot on this."
And then you can see, and you can see her, like them understanding what she's saying, even if they can't communicate. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
no,
you're right.
because I don't think you need a villain to have conflict. You know, like you look at Breaking Bad, the villain of the entire series really is besides Walter being the villain, it's the cancer. The cancer is the thing that made him turn into that person that he became. There's no real villain throughout the series other than the ones that come up as like secondary lines. You don't need. You can have two characters in a room. Both of them are main characters, and the conflict between them is that they need money and one of them wants to rob a bank and the other one doesn't. That's conflict. That's enough drama to keep you invested in this scene that you're seeing, without there having to be some person in the background like, you will do as I say. Like, no, it's just somebody wants something and the other person wants something that is in conflict with that. That's what real conflict is. So that's what drama is. You don't need a villain to have good conflict or good drama. So I think that having these blobs of purple, black energy or whatever these are, I think it's just a representation of like pure evil in its like simplest form, in the same way that like the dark side is, pure evil incarnate, in Star Wars. It's just something that you accept as part of this world. And it helps you get behind the main characters, because you're like, no, this isn't something you reason with. This is just pure evil, and it just helps set up the stakes. So, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aroused after hearing that, you're never going to be. Nicely said, dude. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think you're right. It actually, I think, in a lot of ways, benefited from the fact that they didn't have that, because it put the focus back on the characters and the story that they were telling. I agree with that. What else? You got anything else for it, man? Or you want to talk about the scores that it received?
Other than that, dude, the freaking fight scenes were just so fun to watch. They were just so cool.
Yeah, they were good.
The sword.
They were really good.
The sword was dope. I want to have that in like a D&D game.
The chain whip sword. Yeah.
I don't know. There was so much eye candy in this, and the story was even as I don't want to say predictable, because it's not that it's predictable. It's just it's very point A to point B. Like, where the story's going. Once you get into the third act, which in my opinion was the strongest of the acts. Like I was watching the movie, and I was into the act one, and I was like, damn, the setup is amazing. Like, now we know where this is going. Act two, when you're meeting all the characters and stuff, I was like, okay, that's where I was kind of losing some interest because of all the, the references they were making. But then there were moments that drew me in, like when you see Sisu get into the water, and you see how happy she is in the water and stuff, and that beautiful imagery, and you see her fly up into the air, and she just closes her eyes and goes backwards. That stuff, to me, kind of enhanced the character without words. And so that kind of drew me back in a little bit. But then once you get into Act 3 and the main bad guys are, like, they're all trying to steal the freaking cube and all that stuff, seeing her fight Dasani,
Oh my,
Namari. When you see them fight each other in front of the village while she's helping her friends escape, badass.
Yeah.
That whole sequence was amazing. And then ultimately the end where they're, fighting off all these creatures as they're, the whole city's being evacuated. Just all of it was pretty action-packed and definitely kept the pace going, even if you knew where it was going. So overall, I think the movie was just really well done. I'm curious to know what the scores are, because I already have one in mind. I already know.
It was received really well. Not as well in the audience as I kind of had thought, but Critic score based on Rotten Tomatoes, critics gave this one a 95%,
Damn.
which I'm not surprised. Audience score came in at an 85%, so a little bit lower. 85% I actually think is, I don't know, now that I think about it, I think that's actually a pretty good range to be at. I don't know that I disagree with these Rotten Tomatoes scores. Where do you come at as the critic? Where do you rate Raya and the Last Dragon?
So because of everything I just said, TLDR, I give it I'm somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5, and I think I'm leaning towards 8.5 because I can't give it an 8.25. I think it just deserves something stronger than an 8. I don't see it going much more than an 8.5 in my opinion, just for different reasons. And I think a lot of the reasons that I'm scoring it that way is personal. Like I said, with it pulling away from the world that they built with the modern references and stuff. But you have to see this as a kid's movie because ultimately that's what it is. That is the audience that Disney is catering towards. And if I had seen this as a kid, I would have been blown away. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot in this film that if I had seen this 15 years ago, 20 years ago, would have been everything I wanted in a film. And so I think an 8.5. I think it is a strong movie. I will absolutely watch it again. I will probably watch it again within the week just to I want to put out a post on this one.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't know. It was just overall super entertaining. Would watch again. 10 out of 10 would recommend. If you or your loved ones have been affected by mesothelioma, you are entitled to
financial compensation. Yeah. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
Call now.
Yeah. I agree with what you said, man. I'm with you. I will probably watch this one again before too long as well, just to kind of let it soak in all the way. And I'm going to match your score. I'm at an 8.5 with this. I think that's a strong score to get this one. Yeah, I think we agreed on this one. It seemed like we had the same qualms with this for the most part, and the same positives as well. Dude, there's a lot to take away from this in a really positive way. And I also think you're wise to say you kind of do have to look at this as a little bit of a kid's movie because even though maybe we didn't expect it to be this much of a kid's movie, I wouldn't say that it was too much of a reach to assume it would have been for a little bit younger audience.
I think it's kind of messed up for you and I to continuously, watch these Disney animated movies and be like, man, I wish it was more adult. Like, yeah, but it's not because it's Disney.
Not. Right, it's not, and it's never gonna be really. No, I'm with you, and I do think. Don't get me wrong. I still think it was a little too childized.
I agree because you have films like Frozen
illegal.
And stuff that
I don't know if that's a real word. That sounds illegal for sure. Yeah, I agree, and I think that without the childization, that sounds even more illegal of this movie. I think that it for sure would have been a 9, potentially 9.5 movie. It was an interesting film.
If they had tweaked those, dude, absolutely 9.5 for sure.
A little bit less predictable story for me, maybe with a little more not impactful ending, but maybe just a little more unpredictable ending. And then definitely you got to change the dragon for me. You got to do a total rework on that dragon to me was like the Sonic the Hedgehog thing where his eyes were weird and they had to change his eyes. Like you got to completely rework that dragon for me to really be into it. I just that really kind of shook me. I was kind of weirded out by it. But that's it, man. You got anything else for Raya and the Last Dragon? I'm happy we are kind of on the same page here.
Yeah. I don't. I want to watch it again. I really do.
Fair enough. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Raya and the Last Dragon. Let us know what you guys think. This one obviously just came out. Was it worth the $30? Let us know. Did you guys love it, hate it? Did your kids love it or hate it? Why are we asking that? We don't care. That's just a weird question to ask. Did you love it or hate it?
Fuck you, Jimmy.
Jump over to Critic in the Comment Man on Instagram and fuck them kids. Jump over to Critic in the Comment Man on Instagram. Let us know what you guys think. If this is your first time watching a Critic in the Comment Man video and you liked it, we really appreciate a like or a subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Leave a comment. We're a small channel, so we get to interact with you guys whenever you interact with us.
We have to. My probation officer said I have to, so.
Yeah, right. It's part of our community service. Yeah. So let us know. Guys, Raya and the Last Dragon, we're interested to know what you think. We really enjoyed it. That's it. Chris, we are out of here. I want you to edit me jumping up into the air on raindrops. You're like, what? No. Yeah, not a shot. All right, everybody. Critic in the Comment Man. We'll see you guys next. Peace.